Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Carlie. I am now officially a natural dyer and I'm coming to you from Calgary, Alberta. This is mostly a knitting podcast, but sometimes we do talk about other things like sewing or natural dyeing. It is a really cold, chilly, snowy day here, so I thought this was the perfect time to sit down and we can get caught up and I can tell you what I've been working on. I have one finished object for this episode and that is what I'm wearing, so we'll start with that. This is the sweater by Fiskum Sunde. This is a sweater that I've really wanted to have in my closet for quite some time now, so I'm really excited and happy to have it done and to be wearing it. I knit this in Noro Madara in the color 1, which is sake, and this was gifted to me from Knitting Fever. I also knit this in the first size, and I used all of the recommended needles, which was 4.5mm and 5mm. I didn't do any modifications to this sweater. I pretty much just knit it exactly as the pattern stated, which was really nice because I do feel like a lot of the time I do a little bit of modifications here and there. So it was kind of nice to just like sit back, not have to do any brain work with it and let the pattern tell me what to do. This is a top-down raglan. You do a folded collar. I sewed my collar down instead of doing the bind off method, and I thought that worked really well to prevent any of the ribbing to twist. And then it's got really beautiful details of this ribbed cable, or not ribbed cable, what's it called? Ribbed raglan, I guess. And then a huge split hem, which is the main feature of the sweater, which I'll show shortly. I will say that this sweater is definitely one that completely transforms after blocking. It is, like I said, there's a lot of ribbing in it, specifically with the split hem. It's a long ribbed split hem and it cinches in like ribbing tends to do. And there's a long cuff for the arm here, which cinches in. So it is just extremely important to block this after you finish this. I think it's important to block every sweater after you finish it, but especially this one, it transforms completely. And I do have some footage of before and after, which I'll show. But first I'll stand up here and I'll show you how this looks on my body. So I knit this one slightly cropped. I knit it probably 2 inches past my belly button, which I just find to be a really nice, comfortable length of sweater for me, considering that all of my jeans and pants are high-waisted. So I like that balance of it just kind of maybe having an inch and a half, or 2 inches of overlap from my waist, like the waist of my pants, and then my sweater overlapping it. And for this one, so as you saw in the footage, it's a huge split hem. What I did is I wanted to start the hem at my smallest part of my waist. And so that's what I did, although when I was knitting it, I knew that this sweater would grow quite a bit after blocking. So I just knit basically in stockinette maybe half an inch or an inch before my smallest part of my waist, and then I started the split, and then after blocking it grew and it landed exactly where I wanted it to. Thank goodness. I was a little worried about that because I didn't do a gauge swatch, so I did not know how much this would actually grow, but a commenter, and thank you to this commenter, did warn me that this yarn does grow quite a bit. So I think they told me that a bit before I was starting to split for the hem, if I am remembering this correctly, maybe not, I don't know. Anyway, I think they told me at a good time where I was able to take that into consideration. So I'll actually put up some footage here on the screen and I'll show you what it looked like before blocking and what it looked like after blocking, and you can just see that a huge transformation. When I was trying it on before it was blocked, I was like, oh no, this might actually be too small of a sweater. And the sleeves were so short. I tried it on when I had one sleeve done and I thought it was going to be fine. And in the end, it all was fine, so that's good. But you know, when you try on a sweater with just one sleeve, it doesn't have the weight of the other sleeve to kind of pull that other sleeve up where it would actually sit naturally. So it kind of seems like it's a bit longer on the one side that has the sleeve, if that makes sense. Hopefully I'm explaining this well. So I think it was laying a little bit longer than it actually was when I tried it on with just one sleeve. And so then I was like, okay, this is a good length. And then I did the other sleeve, and then I tried it on and the sleeves were much shorter just because, I don't know, with the other sleeve being done, it just fit more accurately. And so that worried me a bit because it was like halfway up my forearm. But thankfully after blocking, I really stretched the sleeves lengthwise and they hit like right at my wrist, which is perfect. I maybe would want it like half an inch longer, but it's nothing that bothers me too much that I would go back and actually fix. And so yeah, I'm really happy that it stretched out lengthwise for me during blocking, and then the ribbing just relaxed completely and it lays really nice and flat and it doesn't stitch in, which I was hoping it wouldn't stitch in. So I'm really happy with this. Overall, I think it's a really nice neutral piece for me. I've mentioned this many times before, but I hate working with just like plain neutral yarns, which is funny because I'm going to be bringing up some plain neutral yarns for my future plans in a moment here. But having this yarn that has just the most beautiful flecks of color spun into it makes it a lot easier for me to work on. It's a lot more motivating. I love seeing all the colors play together and seeing them knit up in a fabric, and it just makes it a lot more enjoyable for me. So I really love using Noro for kind of elevating a neutral piece, having some colors in there still. And also I was saying that I really hate wearing gray. I hate working with gray. I hate looking at gray because it's a very depressing color for me. It reminds me of gray skies. Every time there's a gloomy day, I get so depressed like instantly. So I think of gray days when I see gray clothing. And this is mostly a gray sweater, but just with the different flecks of color in there, it really makes me feel so much better about wearing this gray. It doesn't feel like a gray sweater. It just feels like kind of a neutral base with all these fun little like rainbows in there, and it makes me a lot happier to see the color in there than if this were just a plain gray sweater. So for the split hem, I ended up doing 33 rounds of 2x2 ribbing, which I just thought was a really nice balance to the sweater. And I also wanted the ribbing on the cuffs of the arms to be the exact same length, so I did 33 rounds of 2x2 ribbing for the cuff as well. And I really like when the cuff and the hem of the sweater for the body match in length. I think it's a nice like cohesive look, so that's what I did and I'm really happy with that. Other than that, there is one thing I wanted to say, that in the pattern, after you split for sleeves and you're done working the raglan increases, and as you can see hopefully a little bit here, the raglan is a 2x2 rib, and it doesn't actually say in the pattern that you should continue this ribbing down in the body until you split for hem. It just says work stockinette. So that is something to consider. If you're not immediately going into the split hem, you will have to continue that 2x2 rib down, like that 2x2 rib featured down into the stockinette part of the body. And I'm really glad I opted for that. I did see some projects on Ravelry. Some people did it without, some people did it with the 2x2 ribbing going down the side of the body. I prefer to have the look of the 2x2 ribbing going down. I think it just kind of brings everything together, and without it going down the side here, it kind of just like breaks off, and then there's a harsh line of where the 2x2 ends for the raglan. So I like that it continues down the side. It's kind of hard to show on this yarn, but hopefully you can see it. So yeah, just something to keep in mind if you're considering working on this pattern, because it doesn't say that in the directions. It just says work stockinette. And yeah, I think that's pretty much the only thing that I wanted to note about the pattern. Other than that, all was good, and I'm really happy with this. Did I mention this already? If I did, I'll cut it out, but I started this January 28th and I finished it on February 7th. So I believe that was about 10 days for me to knit this sweater, which is the fastest sweater for me to date, which is just crazy, but I've been stress knitting like no other. So when I'm stressed, I knit like crazy, and it's just a way to get stress out of my body. So I was just stress knitting, and also when I'm stressed, I feel like I just do things faster. So I was just like speed knitting this sweater, and yeah, that's all I can say. Like, I don't know why, it did not take me long to knit this one. It was just kind of one of those therapeutic knits for me that I couldn't put down, and it was helping me through a stressful time. So yeah, I don't know, it was just a fast sweater, and I'm really glad that I have it done. I love it so much. The yarn, I do find it a little bit itchy. There is a touch of alpaca in this, and thankfully the neckline is quite low, and I do wear a top underneath this because I think I would have to regardless, but also because of the big split hem, it's just nice to have some coverage. But if the sweater's ever like riding up because I'm sitting in a weird way or I just have to readjust, it does itch my neck a little bit, but it's nothing to be like too bothered about. And my arms are bare on the sleeves, and it's completely fine. The only sensitive part really for me is just the little bit of neck that it's exposed to the wool. Other than that, it's good to go. So that's my only full finished object for this episode. Really love this sweater. I can actually see myself making more in the future. She also has a light version, so it's in a lighter weight yarn, and I would maybe do a summer one. I think that would be really fun. If not, I would definitely do this worsted weight version again. I think it's amazing, and I can't wait to get more wear out of it. So I have a half finished object next, and this is one sock out of a pair. So I mentioned on my last episode that I wanted to do another sample knit for my Elma Street socks, which is currently in testing. And to all of those who applied for the test knit, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I hate having to turn down people. I wish I could take everybody, but it just does become overwhelming if you have too many people in the test knit. And yeah, anyways, thank you for applying. It really means a lot to me. So I was mentioning that I wanted to do a second sample for this design. So I'll just show you. Here's the first sample. This is a 4-color version where you're only working 3 colors at any given time, but it just sort of guides you as to where to place your 4th color. And this is the short row heel, and then just plain stockinette wedge toe. So this is the first sample. And this pattern has different options for the color work. It has a 3-color version and then a 2-color version, and then it also has a heel flap and gusset. So I wanted to do a second samples and do a 2-color version and do the heel flap and gusset, just to go through my pattern again also and see how I liked the way I wrote the instructions for the heel flap, because I hadn't knit it yet. So here we go. This is my second version. As you can see, I went for a very low contrast, subtle color work look. I used my Karlie Paige Fiber Co. yarn. This is the color Golden Olive. Yes, I believe that's Golden Olive. And then this is the color Peach. And then I did the heel flap and gusset for this one just to test out the pattern. I block my socks flat like this, so the heels always look a little strange, but I really like this version. So here are the 2 socks from the same pattern. As you can see, it gives off such a different look of just having this low contrast of 2 colors and then a higher contrast with the 4. It really makes it seem like 2 very different socks. So I'm happy that I went ahead and did a second sample just to see how it would look. I do have testers knitting the 2-color version, of course, so I'm excited to see that. And the 3-color, one person's already done, which is great, and it's so cool to see all the different color combinations everybody chose. From what I've seen so far, everybody's chosen really pretty colors. And it's just really fun to see the designs come to life and see how different colors look in this pattern. It's really versatile, and I think you could have a lot of fun with different sock scraps that you have, because you could really incorporate more than 4 colors if you wanted to. And in the pattern, there's actually just like blank colorwork charts in there that you can print off and color in with your own colors if you want to have fun with lots of different colors or just to match the colors of your yarn. So it gives you a lot of freedom to play with the colorwork charts too. That pattern will be hopefully released mid-March or so. The test goes till March 8th, so hopefully there's not too many big issues and then I can just get it released shortly after March 8th. So keep an eye out for that if you're interested. I'll also announce it on here too. So I have another pair of socks to talk about that I'm working on. I wanted to do a sample knit for one of the colorways that I just created. And this is knit in Karlie Paige Fiber Co. It's 100% BFL sock, naturally dyed. I just wanted to do some mock cable socks for whatever reason. I had the urge, a really strong urge to do some mock cables. So this is just self-drafted. I have one sock done, and because it's like ribbing, it's so tiny, especially like compared to, look at the width difference in this. It's the same stitch count. It's just so funny to see. So I actually recently put up a YouTube short video and a reel on my Karlie Paige Fiber Co. Instagram, and I really needed help naming this yarn colorway. So it's a really soft green base with some dark green speckles in there. And thank you to all of you who commented and helped me out. Someone commented lichen, and I think that's what I'm going to go with. So if that was you, thank you so much. And just thank you to all of you for participating and helping me find a name for this. I think lichen is really perfect. It's got that soft green and then like tiny bits of dark green. So I think that's a really nice name for this colorway. And this is the bottom. So it's done in plain stockinette, so you can see the colorway shine through there. And then the rest of it, I just did like 2x2 cuff, and then I followed the 2x2 ribbing down the leg, and I just did mock cables. And you can kind of see like the light speckling in there. And I did a short row heel, and then I just continued the cabling on the top. I went into the toe and I removed the mock cables, and I just wanted to do plain 2x2 rib for the toe. So it's just a like basic wedge toe, but in 2x2 ribbing. So I thought that this colorway, being that it's a really subtle, lightly speckled yarn, it would look really good in a textured pattern. I find that if it were heavily speckled with multiple colors, that it would get lost in this texture, but just being that it's quite subtle and not too overpowering with speckling, I thought that the cables would be a nice pattern for it, and I'm really, really happy with it. I have been enjoying, I'm just gonna put my hand on here so it like springs out the pattern for you. I've really been enjoying knitting on this. It's just been also another really therapeutic knit for me, another stress knit for me, but it's just been so enjoyable. And again, it's my first time knitting with this colorway, knitting up a sample in it, so I was super excited to see how it would knit up, and I'm really happy with it. I think it's really pretty. So yeah, I've just been enjoying these mock cables. Mock cables are super easy, no additional needle needed. It's basically just lace. It's 2x2 ribbing with a yarn over and then a pass, like, I forget what the term is, but you just like pass the yarn over the other two stitches so you get back to your original stitch count. That's a horrible explanation, but if you just look up anywhere mock cable, it'll tell you a good explanation if you're interested. So I do have the second one started. I've just worked a little bit of the leg. I've got maybe, I don't know, this much more to go probably to down here, and then I'll start the heel and get onto the foot. And I find that once I get to the heel, it just flies by, because then half of it is in stockinette and then just the top is worked in the 2x2 mock, the 2x2 ribbed mock cable motif. So it goes a lot quicker down the leg of the foot. So I'm really looking forward to having these done. I think I probably say this about most of the socks that I knit after I finish them, but I truly think that this is one of my favorite socks I've ever knit, and I'm really happy with them. I just think that it was a really great pairing of pattern and yarn, and I've just been really enjoying the process. So I love these. I think I'll make more of these mock cable knits or socks. It's a nice fit around the foot too, being that it's a stretchy rib. But yeah, I'm really happy with these ones, and I'm really proud of this yarn too. So all in all, it's just been a really great combination. That's it for any active whips that I have to talk about. I'm keeping things really simple. I've recently finished 3 like bigger projects in a row, 3 big sweaters. I did the field day jacket, and then I did the cloud sweater, and then this sweater. So I kind of wanted to take a little bit of a break from larger projects and just focus on sock knitting for a bit and give myself some time to think about what I wanted to knit next. So that brings us into plans, and I think I've narrowed it down. I have wanted to knit this Wabi Sabi cardigan by Milena Juhola. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but I'll put her information up on the screen, and everything's linked down below also. So I've been wanting to knit this for a really long time, and this is actually knit at a bulky gauge, and it's a cardigan. And if you watched like 2 podcasts ago, you're probably thinking, what the hell? Because you were just talking about how I hated working on thicker gauges, and then I only wanted to knit some cardigans with built-in button bands. This does not have that. Speaking of that though, a lot of you gave really great recommendations for different cardigans that have button bands knit as you go, and I found some other ones as well, so I put that into a whole bundle on Ravelry. I'll link it down below if you're also interested in knitting knit as you go button bands for cardigans. So yeah, that's a good resource to have if you're wanting to knit that. I basically said, going forward, I would love to only knit cardigans with those built-in button bands unless there was a design that I just couldn't say no to, and the Wabi Sabi cardigan is definitely one of those designs. I think it's really beautiful and simple, and it'll work as a really nice like spring jacket for me. So I think starting it in the next week or 2 will be a great timeline, because I can hopefully finish it by like mid-March, and then that gets me, I can start wearing it basically right away, and it'll be a good jacket for me. So I've had this yarn for a really long time. I bought it to knit something else, but I started it and I just wasn't loving it. So I ripped it out, and I've since had this yarn for a year or 2, and it's a Sanus garn. Oh gosh, it's blowing out quite a bit. Let's see here. Sanus garn for Tids garn. And this is bulky weight, I think, and the color is 3021. So this was 100% Norwegian wool. It's a beautiful, like soft cream color. And again, I was just saying I can't knit in neutrals, and here I am with a full sweater knit in neutral. But it's just, again, one of those things I'm gonna have to get through, because this type of off-white creamy beige is my favorite type of neutral to wear. So it's just going to be so worth it, I think, to have this and to knit with something that's a little bit more boring, but I think it'll turn into a really wearable piece that I'll get tons of use out of. So I'm excited for that. I don't have buttons for this yet. I am thinking of doing the toggle buttons. I think that'll look really cute for this pattern, but yeah, I'm not sure yet. I'll have to do some button shopping online and see what's out there. But yeah, I do have quite a few of sweater quantities in my stash at the moment, and I've been contemplating which one I should cast on, and I think this is a smart choice for the time of year and what the purpose would be. I think this could also work on like cooler summer nights and summer mornings. If we have a cooler day, then it could be a nice layer too, or just like to bring camping in the mountains during the summer would be really nice as well. So I'm excited about that. This one has been in my queue for a really long time, maybe like a year or so. So when something's been in my queue for that long and I've been thinking about it for that long, it's a good sign to me that this is a piece that I actually really want, and I'm not influenced by anything, and it's just a piece that I know that I'll get wear out of. Another thing I want to talk to you about is a book. So I'm sure a lot of you have seen this book already, but this is the Memory Lane book by Claudia Quintanilla of Unit Toronto. She sent this over to me a few weeks back, and I completely forgot to talk about it on my last episode, so I wanted to talk about it now. It's a book, it's all about like embellished knits, so a lot of beautiful, dainty, feminine details for all of the patterns in here, and lots of embroidery, lots of adding beadwork, and there are about 4 patterns that really stood out to me, so I kind of wanted to share those with you. But yeah, this is the book. It's beautiful, Memory Lane by Claudia Quintanilla. The first one that really stood out to me was the Olympia sweater, and what I love about this is that it's just a basic, oops, I was getting a call, sorry. So what I love about the Olympia sweater is just a basic sweater, but it has a folded over collar, and in that collar you add a ribbon. So it's just so pretty. I could see myself, if I were to have a sweater like this, I would love to do one of those like raw silk ribbons that I could naturally dye. I think that would be really beautiful. And so I love that one. There's also the Azul sweater. It's a really pretty color work, and you could have so much fun with this one with scraps. I think you could do like every stripe a different color if you had a lot of scraps to get through. I think that would be so much fun. And then there is another one here. Which one's this one called? El Naranjo? I'm definitely not saying that right. Really beautiful color work on the yoke and down the sleeve. I think this one's fingering weight, so it would be a labor of love, but definitely worth it. There are also beads worked into this color work too. If I were to knit it, I'd probably omit the beads, but it looks beautiful with the beads as well. And then I had one last one I wanted to show here. And this one is the Narciso, and it is just so pretty. It's a beautiful, dainty little cardigan with some frills on the side and some baubles, I think. It's really pretty. I love it in that soft blue too. So I've just really been enjoying looking through this book. The photography is really beautiful. It's just one of those books that I want to keep out on my coffee table and look at and glance at every now and then, just because it's so beautiful. So it's, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to knit anything out of it soon. I don't know if I have the proper yarn for any of it at the moment, but there are a lot of beautiful things in here. And yeah, thank you, Unit Toronto, for sending this my way. That's it to talk about all the things that I wanted to share with you today. Oh, I actually did want to share some YouTube podcast recommendations, or just some YouTube channels that I've been enjoying lately, and not even lately, just for a while now. They've been ones that I've been really enjoying to watch. So one of them being Arie Knits. She has such a great channel. If you haven't watched her before, all of these people will be linked down below, but definitely check them out. Ariel, she has so many beautiful projects that she shows, and she just does a lot of knitting, so you get to see so many different projects on each episode, and she uploads weekly, like consistently, and so she has so many beautiful projects. And if you are a lover of pink, you'll definitely love looking at all her projects. She uses a lot of beautiful different pinks. She's also a really talented spinner, and I just love seeing the different yarns that she creates and all the different colors, and they're just so beautiful. She also dyes yarn just for fun, I think, and she comes up with some really pretty colors too, so I really love watching Arie Knits. I also have been watching by Emu a lot lately, and she just has a lot of beautiful projects to show, and I'm a bit newer to her channel, but I've really been enjoying watching her projects, or watching her channel and seeing all of the different projects that she's been working on, so check her out as well. I also have been really enjoying the Cozy Cardigans podcast, which is Mel from Big Little Yarn Co. She is a yarn dyer out of Japan. I've gotten her yarn advent before. It was the 2023 yarn advent, so it's really cool to see what she knits up, a lot of the time using her colorways, and she also talks about different books she's been reading, and While I do a lot of reading, I don't read any of the books in the like the genre that she reads, but I still really enjoy listening to her talk about her books. So yeah, if you're a reader too, you'd probably like watching her podcast too. So yeah, I just wanted to share a few of those because I've been getting a lot of enjoyment. Oh my goodness, can I not get my words out? I just wanted to share those because I've been getting a lot of enjoyment out of those podcasts lately, and wanted to give some recommendations because it's always so fun when you discover a new podcast to watch and get some new ideas and inspiration. For me around here, I've just been busy yarn dyeing. I actually finished dyeing all the yarn yesterday for my first shop update, which will probably be in a couple of weeks or so. I'm just finalizing some things, but it's really exciting to have all the dyeing officially done. I just have to go back and wash some of the yarn and then skein them up and label all of that. But yeah, things are going and it's really exciting. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to make my shop live and available. And yeah, I'll have another video too, solely on just the yarn that will be available in that shop update if you're curious. So I'll just go through each of the colorways, and yeah, you can get all the information there. So that will be coming in the next couple of weeks too. Other than that, that's all there is to say. I've just been busy dyeing and knitting, and yeah, been having a good time doing it. It's been really cold here, so I'm just trying to get through this cold snap and look forward to spring, but also try and get cozy and embrace the winter weather because that's all you can do, really. All right, thank you so much for being here today. If you like it, please consider liking, subscribing, commenting, or all of the above. It really helps me out and supports my channel. I appreciate it so much. Until the next video, hopefully you are enjoying your knitting and making, and I'll see you next time. Bye.